You're just becoming a ball of information. Kudos to you, you know how to improve your life. Kudos to you, you know how to build confidence. Kudos to you. Like, a lot of us need to understand we're big balls of information. You need to figure out specific days in which you're actually using this information. You're actually implementing this information. You have to change your normal. So you feel stuck. You feel like you're in a rut. You don't know what to do with your life. And you want to figure out, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And how to move forward. Where in this video, I will explain to you how to do it. And how to feel unstuck part 2. So the first step, I want you to actually get a pencil and a paper, right? Because this is going to be very imperative for you to write down to structure out. And I actually got this idea from Bill Burnett, who is a professor at Stanford University. So you are going to create 3 different lives. First, you are going to create the life that, just write down the life that you have now in a box, right? With where you work, where you live, things of that sort. Primarily, let's kind of focus on, where you work, right? Because let's just be completely honest. Income is very dependent upon the life that you have. If you don't have a certain income, let's just be honest, you can't have a certain life, right? And for all of these things, we are going to talk about 5 years from now. So we're going to be talking about 2029. So in 5 years from now, the job that you have now, the things that you are doing now, write down what you see yourself doing. And I very rarely say this, but I want you to be realistic. Like, with how much you're making now and what you're doing now, what are some of the things that you want to do with your life? And it's not saying you can't do anything, but if you making $20 an hour, I don't want you saying in 5 years, oh yeah, every month I'm gonna go to Ibiza, and then the next month I'm gonna go to Greece, and the next month I'm gonna be in Jamaica. I mean, not saying you can't get a raise. I'm a big advocate of every 2 years asking for a raise, but at the same time, you're not gonna go from making $20 to making $45 to $50 in 5 years. Like, just look at some of the people who've been at your job before, and you know what I'm saying, in your field. I say that to say, think about the experiences that you want to have in the next 5 years that you feel like are realistic for the life that you have. Take into account if you may get a new car, right? What kind of car would that possibly be? Like, just take that into account and just make little bullet points. Now, in the next box, I want you to create, what would your life look like in 5 years if you were to lose your job tomorrow? If tomorrow you were to get a call saying your company got shut down, or you would get a call tomorrow saying you got fired, what would you do? Like, what would your life, like, genuinely, what would you really do? Basically tomorrow, and how do you think that would look like in 5 years if you were to lose your job tomorrow? And make the same exact list. If you want to go on any vacations, if you want to have, a new car, if you want to move, like, what do you really feel like? And y'all know I rarely say this, but be realistic. Like, don't say, oh, tomorrow I'm gonna have $1 million business. You're probably not, because you don't have $1 million business today. So just be realistic with it. Be realistic with the jobs you've applied to. Be real, and y'all know I don't really like that word, but we got to be honest, in the economy that we're in and just the world that we're in, right? If you were working at Forever 21 for 3 years, you're not probably gonna apply to work at, I don't know, Chase Bank and be the head director. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, just create that, but figure out what you're gonna do if you were to lose your job tomorrow. Now, in the third box, this is more so the wild card. I want you to write down what you would be doing if you were rich. So hypothetically thinking, you already have the money. Money is not a problem for you, and you did not care what people thought about you. And I think not caring is very imperative as well, something to think about, because we have to realize a lot of the things that we do are based upon what we think individuals will think of us, right? I was a social media strategist for a few years, and one of the things that will always get me when I had clients, they will always say is like, well, I don't want my friends to find me, and I don't want my family to find me, and I don't want people to think this of me. Just imagine that you're already a millionaire, you're already a billionaire, and now you're just doing things for fun. What would you do? And the analogy that Bill Burnett used in this example it was a crazy analogy, but for some people, that's what they want to do. They said being a bartender in Ibiza or something like that, and a DJ or something. Like, if that's generally what you would want to do. And what would your life look like for that as well? And the reason why I want you to do this is because I want you to start looking at the parallels amongst them, right? Because it does not necessarily mean any of these lives are specifically what you're going to get. And it also, I'm not here to try to tell you, okay, the third one, that's what you need to go after. And the third one, that's what you need to make your life. And the third one, no, but sometimes you could see some of the similarities between them. Or some of the times you could say, hey, you know what? I don't necessarily need this, that. maybe I would want to do this. And maybe I would care. You get what I'm saying? Like, try to see the similarities between them to try to figure out what are some of the things that you want to do. And even if you compare the first list to the third list and you're like, no, but I really do care about traveling. Like, I love traveling and it's so amazing. And it's so, if you know the job you're working at, you're probably not going to be able to travel that much, whether it's due to income, whether it's due to not being able to take off that much time at work, right? I think it's very imperative that you start seeing the things that you care about in different lists and start comparing them. And it sounds like I don't want to be in everybody's business, but also don't always think about it when it comes to monetary things. Like, oh, I have to get this new car and I have to get a $300 million, mansion in Beverly Hills. Like, see the things that you care about and start connecting them. And so with the next part, what I want you to do is, once you figure out the major connections between them, once you figure out the major things that you feel like that are in your reach, in a sense of at least starting. It does not mean you have to complete these things, but at least starting. Now I want you to write a goal list. So this is a goal breakdown, and I don't know the specific name of it. I read it in a book years ago. But the way it works is you have a major goal. Right? And this usually works at a 1 month basis, but you could break it up however you want. So you have your major goal at the top, and then you break that major goal into 4 smaller goals. So example I previously used was, let's say, get 100,000 followers on YouTube. Your 4 smaller goals, which are kind of like your weekly goals, because it's 4 weeks in a month, are to get 25,000, because that's how you would eventually get to the larger goal. Then you break those 4 into 7, because there's 7 days in a week. So what are you going to be doing on a daily basis to get to that weekly goal? And then that weekly goal is going to get you to the monthly goal. And even with breaking down what are you going to do on those days, it's kind of like building out a schedule, but also part of a schedule is resting. Like, don't feel like every single day you have to be doing something. Every single day you have to be, creating $1 million business. Like, resting is imperative as well. But I think this is imperative for us for multiple reasons. One, because we can actually see or figure out what are some of the necessary things we have to do for our goals. We can adjust it for things that work and things that don't work. But also, I think it helps you create a schedule to feel like you're actually doing something. And in the part 1, I definitely recommend to go back and watch that. I gave specific techniques to do. So this is why I said both videos will be great, because you can implement the techniques that I gave into figuring out how to achieve those daily tasks to get to those weekly marks, to get to that monthly goal. Right? And I said you could break it up however you want. That's just how I chose to do it. But I think that's imperative as well. Sometimes we feel stuck is because we realize we don't have a goal. And if you want to figure out your goal, you have to figure out what kind of life do you want. And with doing your breakdown, I want you to understand that you have to change your normal. That's another reason why a lot of individuals feel like they're in a rut, or you feel stuck, or things feel mundane, is for the simple fact that every day is the same. And I'm a big advocate. I talk to you guys about it all the time. Nothing is going to change until you change. You can watch all the videos. You can read all the books. You can listen to all the podcasts. You could do all these things. Until you change your day-to-day life, nothing is going to change. You're just playing the broken record over and over and over again, and you're just becoming a ball of information. Kudos to you, you know how to improve your life. Kudos to you, you know how to build confidence. Kudos to you. And I know it sounds messed up, and I know it sounds harsh, but that's really how it is. Like, a lot of us need to understand we're big balls of information. You need to figure out specific days in which you're actually using this information. You're actually implementing this information. You have to change your normal. You have to do things outside of what you normally would do, because you have to understand what you normally would do got you where you are now. You know what I'm saying? And it follows the list, the first list that you have. What would you be doing in 5 years, essentially, if everything was the same? And if you look at that list and you like that list, and that list is cool for you, stick with it. But I'm pretty sure you probably don't, because you wouldn't be on this video. And so I think it's very imperative that we change. We start doing things we don't necessarily like to do. We start doing things that necessarily aren't normal to us. And I recently watched Kevin Hart has a podcast. I don't know. It's so crazy because it does not have that many views on it. Not the one that he has on Peacock where he sits down with people. He has like a video podcast, and he only has like 5,000 followers on there. But I say that to say, he recently was interviewing the TV personality or radio personality Charlamagne the God. Not sure if you're familiar with him, but he's a TV personality. He's on Breakfast Club. He's come out with multiple books. He's a millionaire. I say that to say he's a very high, a high ranked individual, I guess you could say, in like the hip hop culture community. I say that to say he was talking about his come up in his career. He was saying his mom was an English teacher. And one thing that helped him was that his mom always told him to read things that did not pertain to him. Things that he did not necessarily find to be enjoying. He said that's how he found out about so many different things outside of himself, outside of his community, outside of, you know, the norm. And I think that's very imperative for you to do as well with action. Like, start going places that you don't normally go to. Start doing things that, and stop having this idea that I don't like this. You don't know if you didn't like it because you never tried it before. But you need change, and you never know how much something can make you happy. You never know the excitement that you could get from something simply from trying it. And that may be why you're stuck. You're tired of feeling like you're in a cycle. You're tired of doing the same thing over and over again, but every time it's something new, you tell yourself before even trying it, oh, we're not gonna like it. How do you know? You don't. And this is imperative to do even when your life is going good, your life is going bad, your life is just going. For some of us, is to journal. You have to let these things out. The way you are feeling, your thoughts, your emotions, it's imperative to let those things out and put them on paper. Get them outside of you. And sometimes it sounds like, well, it's still me. I'm still thinking about it. It's still my thoughts. It's very hard to describe the feeling, but once you start journaling consistently, it becomes a way of therapy. It becomes a way to just let things outside of you. And simply all sometimes you have to do is put it on paper. Sometimes all we have to do is visually see some of these things. Because it's a whole different process of you thinking of something and then you writing it out and then you reading it and then you actually being able to process it. A lot of times we don't understand a lot of things we're going through is because we haven't processed these things. Like in years, you've been holding stuff in. For years, you've been going through certain situations and you have yet to process that thing to yourself. And I'm a big advocate of, you know, finding help and finding individuals that are there for you and going to therapy and things of that sort. But it has to start with you. You have to understand what you're going through. It's very hard for you to let it out. It's very hard for you to even understand what you're going through when you don't even know what you're going through. And so I'm a big advocate of journaling. I can be honest with y'all, I don't journal as much as I need to. But every so often when I'm really going through something, I really have to journal and I really have to let it out. And it's also therapeutic looking back at things. And also, I honestly feel like it helps you not get back in a rut. Or sometimes when you are in a rut again, it helps you get out of it because you notice that you've been going through things multiple times. That's something I've also discussed before. You've been going through things so many times and you haven't even noticed it. This is something that you've already went through. This is something that you've already felt. But you had that, it was your birthday coming up. So you got excited, you did that birthday trip, you got your hair done, your nails done, and then when that heightened went, you went back down. And you're like, why do I feel like this? Because you never got over it the first time. Or the second time. Or the third time. But you don't even really realize you're going through it because you didn't even understand it. And finally, lower your dopamine. I think one of the things that a lot of us don't understand is that you have a very high intake for things in general, right? So dopamine is kind of like the happy response inside of our brain that tells us, hey, we like something, hey, keep doing it, keep doing it. Another reason why you feel like you're such in a rut is because your dopamine threshold is so high, and it happens because of our phones. I know y'all probably heard it a million times before, you have to get off that phone. Got to get off that phone. You really do, because what happens is, right, we get so addicted to seeing things on social media. There's so much that we're intaking. There's so many emotions we're feeling. You will see a happy video, a sad video, a funny video, a video you like, a video you don't like. It's so many emotions that our bodies going through, our minds are going through. And so when there are times that we just have to be still, when there are times we just have to sit down and we just have to do a task, it can feel like, oh, this is so boring. Oh, I don't want to do this. And you're like, but I know I have to do this thing, but I know. So why does it feel so hard? It feels so hard because your body is used to experiencing 30 emotions in 10 minutes. And for this one thing, you're just supposed to experience one emotion. And it sounds easy when it's something boring, but sometimes even when it's something good, we don't realize, right? I say that to say I'm so appreciative that I have 7,000 followers on here, right? I recently got to 7,000 and I appreciate y'all so much, but I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. I went through a little bit of a dry spell, you know, with my whole YouTube thing. And it went for a thing for me where I was just like, why are my videos not doing well? And what is going on? And this, that, and that, this. And even it became a task for me even recording videos. Now, if 7,000 individuals were to see me talk, if 7,000 individuals were to sign up for an event I was at, if 7,000 individuals, I don't even have 7,000 followers on Instagram. I don't even know 7,000 people. But it's because our threshold is so high for intaking information. Our threshold is so high for seeing so many things. I literally think 7,000 people is not enough. And I'm grateful for all of y'all. I genuinely want to say that. I don't want to make it seem like, oh, I don't appreciate y'all. But I can honestly say I was comparing myself to other people on YouTube and comparing myself to what other people were doing. And it made me not feel like enough. But then I had to sit back and realize, like, whoa, well, there's 7,000 people that watched my videos and decided to say, I like her. I relate to her. I feel her. I would be crazy if I didn't appreciate that. I would be crazy if I didn't appreciate 100 people deciding to do that. Because nobody made y'all do that. Y'all did it yourselves. You know what I'm saying? But I say that to say our threshold is so high. And one of the things I definitely recommend to people to do is stop being on social media as much to lower your dopamine intake. There's so many. It's so hard for you to be happy. It's so hard for you to be in a moment because you can be on your phone and be in 3,000 moments. You could be on your phone and experience 30 different types of happy. And so it makes the tasks that we have to do, like I said, seem boring, seem like they're not enough, make us not fulfilled. It is because we are so addicted to our phones. We're so addicted to that high threshold for dopamine, that high threshold just to feel. We just want to feel something. And if something isn't giving us a certain feeling or a certain amount of feelings, it's not enough. So that was it. But thank you guys so much for watching my videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all so much. I love when y'all comment and we're able to like dialogue and back and forth, and really just to see that you guys support me so much. And don't forget to check back for new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Have a great one.